just rooting through the compost here a little bit more. Still pulling out all these stinking hay strings, which is gonna have to happen because I don't want to be pulling all those up in the garden. They'll all come out eventually, but I don't want to have them wadded up in the tiller again, that's for darn sure. Anyway, so this has been kind of my daily exercise, therapy, whatever you want to call it. Going through this big pile, just shovel full at a time, and kind of breaking it up as I work and piling to the side. I mean, you can see the difference, and the pile's big, compacted, got a lot of debris in it. You can see some hay strings laying in there. This is nice, loose, broken up. Now, long term, I don't want to have to shovel every single piece of this compost as we put it out. I probably will, and I'll probably do it twice, be the way it ends up. But I've got to move all of this and more onto all of that black plastic and more as things progress. The garden, I think, will keep going westerly, at least for now, and hopefully more southerly as we go here, as it gets bigger. Ideally, I mix and stir all this on a nice sunny day with the tractor bucket, and I just bulldoze it up. I've done a little bit of that, you know, just kind of restack it, like drive by doing something else and just hit it a couple times real quick. Stir it, mix it, let the sun really beat on it. And as you do that, you'll break up those clumps and the strings will kind of come to surface too, and then you can just pick out strings whenever you see them. But some of those, I tried pulling on them and they're actually stuck deeper down inside the pile. This stuff, like I said, once it's dried a little bit and shoveled it, man, it's great loose stuff. But what's in that pile, a lot of it's real blocky, compacted, has, you know, been run over and walked on by the cattle and everything else. So anyway, just figured I'd mention a little bit of tinkering that I'm doing here with this. Today's overcast, not supposed to rain till tonight, so I'm going to leave it uncovered and hope that it doesn't absorb moisture out of the air. It's not that humid, so hopefully it'll still dry a little bit, being open with a little breeze. And then this evening before it rains again, I'll tarp the big pile with a big tarp, which is full of holes, but it's better than nothing. I've got a much better tarp here, a small tarp I'll throw on the small pile to try to protect it. But like I said, long term, I've got to have a much larger pile than this, and I've got to come up with a much more effective way than going through it shovel by shovel by shovel, because that's gonna kill me on time. I just don't have the time to do it. I need a faster method. Now, when we go to spread it on the garden, I don't know if I'm gonna be spreading it, honestly, probably with a shovel in the wheelbarrow. Maybe I'll like load the wheelbarrow with the tractor or something, but we'll be going down the aisles and dumping with the wheelbarrow, because I don't want to run, like I said, I don't want to run over this with the tractor to be driving out there and dumping it with the tractor bucket. So that's going to all be done on foot, keeping the wheelbarrow in the aisles, just to try to really conserve the work that I've done on trying to break this soil up. That's what's really most important to me at this point, is just keeping that work spared so I don't have to do it all again. So yeah, maybe if I like get crazy and I load the wheelbarrow with the tractor bucket, at least then I'm not shoveling it all into the wheelbarrow. But there will still be a lot of handwork to be done, and I know that, so I'm trying to minimize the handwork where I can, because I know there's some coming that's just required. So anyway, just kind of hitting this every now and then when I walk by the pile, take a few shovelfuls just to kind of keep things moving, and trying to get it sorted out, cleaned up, and get ready to go on the garden. Well, this is kind of silly, but fun anyway. It's really silly that I'm locked in my bathroom right now to keep the kids out of here, but it just so happens that this is where the worms are at too, because we had company, we didn't want them on the kitchen counter, so they're in the bathroom. Anyway, another little venture we're getting into here, playing with some earthworms. My wife actually is spearheading it this time, because she wants them for live fish food for her fish aquariums, which, what better to feed a fish than a worm? But I just thought I'd show this to you guys. If you go back and look years ago, I think I did it before. I had to go back and check them on YouTube channel and see. I think I had videos about having red wriggler worms in the past that were under my care, and I messed it all up because I let them out in the greenhouse in the summer and they got dried out and they got roasted. Turns out they don't like heat very much. Anyway, my wife's running it now, and she's got them all here in just a little Sterilite tub. This actually double stacked, so this top tub has a couple drain holes, bottom tub has nothing. And then we just got this burlap laid on top. But what I actually just did that I want to show you guys, we just peeled the burlap back and sprinkle in some cornmeal right now. I mean, we've been throwing kitchen scraps and stuff in here too, but the cornmeal is kind of a steady food, which is getting them all up under the burlap. And then we put this lid on, just set it on there. Don't snap it on, just set it on. And the worms are coming up through the burlap for whatever reason, wanting to be up on top, and then they've been pooping on top, which of course is the worm castings, which as the gardener, that's what I want. That's the liquid gold, right? My wife's after the worms, I'm after the castings. But what's funny is they're putting all their castings, I mean, I'm sure there's plenty down in the tub, but they're putting a bunch of them up here on top, which is really easy access, because now what I'm going to do is pull the lids off. I kind of just spread them around here enough to expose the worms so they're out in the light. And then they're going to work like crazy to try to get down back under that burlap because they don't like being out in the light. So I'm just making sure, see anywhere, I mean, you almost have to just work it constantly, but they try to hide just a little bit up under their castings, but I'm trying to get them all exposed to make them crawl back down through the burlap. And then that'll just leave all these castings high and dry, and then we'll take the burlap, we'll just kind of lift up on the corners, shake it and roll it and be able to dump it right into a pail. So that's what I'm trying to do right now. I'm not going to stand here and make you guys watch and wait for the next hour or however long it takes them, but I'm going to come back in and check on them every little bit and see, and then once they're all down below the burlap, I'm going to see if we can't roll this up and shake it into a little bowl to collect those castings. All right, well, it's been over an hour, which I checked back in quite some time ago and all the worms were gone. So it's kind of funny because it's like when I was making that bit earlier, there was worms everywhere. And then it's like just all of a sudden it's like they get it and they all go down because there's none up here now. But they are still right. Oh no, they're not. Look at that. Huh. They've all gone much deeper. Which is good because I thought they were going to be right underneath the burlap. But they've actually gone much deeper. So I'm just going to kind of pile this up in the middle best I can. I don't think I'm going to be able to do this one-handed. Maybe I can. Oh, looky here. I've been taking Jaeger bomber shots. Don't tell anybody. Alright, come on, baby. Oh, look at that. Oh, sweet Jesus. That's actually really good. I was afraid they were going to be all stuck on the bottom of the burlap, because normally when they're on top, and then we pull the burlap back, there's a bunch of worms stuck on it too. But none. Man, it's impressive how easily the light drives them down. So I've seen other people, with their little worm casting setups or whatever. And the traditional style that I've seen is have them in a big bin, let them work it for a couple of months, and then dump it out and filter through it, pull out all the non-composted stuff, and take the castings. But for whatever reason, this just really amuses me that they all are coming up on top of the burlap for whatever reason and leaving their castings behind, because it makes it really simple for me to just take the castings off. Now, this is a minuscule, just nothing pile of castings, but it's something. From a labor-intensive aspect, I would not want to run a business harvesting worm castings with little bitty piles like this. But what's interesting, let's see, we came back from vacation, so maybe this is a week's worth, I don't know. If they were doing it on their own and you were never checking on them and you were never fooling with it, sure, they would pile up and you could just come through in a day and harvest off a couple of pounds, I don't know. They'd do that once a week. But anyway, it's kind of funny to me, again, when you look at the commercial setups that I've seen anyway, and this is nothing new, they've got the flow-through bins where there's a rake, that drags along the bottom and it knocks out the castings every day and the whole bed settles a little bit and they add more feed on top. That's definitely more efficient, but I've never seen anybody, granted it's been a couple of years, but I've never seen anybody that said, oh yeah, we cover each bed with burlap and then put a lid on it and we let them poop on top of the burlap and then we just shake the burlap once a week. I've never seen that. So I'm kind of wondering if no one's ever really noticed that or had it happen. Certainly other people have had burlap on top of their worm bin and had them get up there on top. I don't know. Anyway, I've got me a little handful here. I don't even know what I'm going to do with them, but nice. Smells like worm poop. It doesn't smell like soil. It smells kind of like fish poop, to be honest with you. But it doesn't smell rancid. It doesn't smell nasty. I have no plans for this at all. I guess I'm just going to leave them here on the lid and let them dry out and then put them in a bag or something. I have no idea But I will use them. I'll sprinkle them on some sort of flower pot or something. I'm going to let those sit there. I want to put this lid. We have the spare lid just because we have 2 bins. I'm going to put that lid right back on. And maybe we'll see in the morning. Maybe there'll be a bunch of worms back up top. Well, I promised y'all another update, I think. So here we are 12 hours later. Here's our worm castings that we shook off the burlap last night. You can see they're dry enough now that they don't leave any residue on my hands. You can still feel a little bit of moisture in them. But I think you don't want them super dry, because then whatever sort of bacteria and stuff in them, you don't want that to necessarily dry out and die. So probably about at this state is probably where I would bag it, or try to preserve it. I might go get a little Ziploc bag or something. I don't really know what else to put it in. I guess if it dries out, the nutrient content is still there, just perhaps the living content is not. But back in our little bin here, lift it up, worms are right back up top. Why they like to get up on top of this burlap, I don't know, but they're right back up here working around and giving us more. So we'll throw the lid back on here and, I don't know, see how it piles up over the course of the next week or whatever. But just wanted to show you guys that again. Just thought it was interesting that they're coming up on top of the burlap like that. I guess it's dark. I guess it's darker than even being on the clear sides of the tub. But anyway, yeah, this is fun. Got me enough here to plant like one little seedling. It's a start. Looky what I did. I got a compost going. It almost looks like smoke. Oh yeah, that's nice and hot. It actually kind of stinks because it's so hot. Oh, hot manure. Ooh-wee, rancid. So this is just out of the goat barn, and I think I showed you guys since the hay rack's been in there, all the hay that they waste on the ground, I've just been piling it up and piling it up and piling it up and letting them use it as bedding. Well, of course, they've been doing what they do all over it. And just the other day I got in there and I just kind of forked it all up, almost like a winnowing effect, to try to separate most of the poop from most of the hay. And so what I've got here, this is a little bit of, like, hay fine stuff that was falling through the forks or was so saturated with poo that it came along. But a lot of the hay is still in there for bedding. I just kind of, like I said, just tried to separate it just by tossing it around. So this stuff got stirred up just the other day and hadn't been but, I think 2 days. I turned it over. And now I'm hauling all the manure portion of it out of the barn, left the hay behind. And I went and dumped it out of the tractor bucket and it's just smoking. I kind of smelled it as I was driving. I was like, man, that just smells like hot. And then when I dumped it out, I actually saw all the smoke and steam coming off of it. Not really smoke, steam coming off of it. So anyway, I just thought that was kind of funny to mention. It's composting, it's doing its thing, which I kind of, this is on what I just dumped it on top of with my pile of sifted composted cow manure. So really probably I should put it in a separate pile of its own, because now I'm going to have a lot of this hay that's really not going to digest right away, that's going to end up in my garden, but it'll be okay. It'll break down in the next year, no problem. So as long as it's not big clumps of hay, I don't really mind. So anyway, just wanted to mention that. I got to go back to the barn and get one more, probably about a half a bucket full, shoveled out of there. And then I'm going to get this tarp thrown over it because it's supposed to rain again, I think, today or the next couple of days. And, I want to try to keep this stuff drying out a little bit. It's got to be moist enough to keep the compost going, but I want it to not get saturated again. Cold winter rain will saturate it, could kill the compost. So anyway, that's that. We'll get this other bucket full dumped on here. Just wanted to show it off a little bit. I always love when on a cool day when you see the pile steaming.